Hey Baddies, we want to take a quick minute to shout out our amazing sponsor, Eli Lilly, for supporting our mission here on Baddie to Baddie. Because of their generosity, we can keep these important conversations about breast cancer awareness, education, and advocacy going strong for our community of women of color. We send our sincere thanks to our partners at Eli Lilly for standing with us. Calling all permanent makeup artists. Discover how you can join our mission to empower breast cancer survivors of color with specialized permanent makeup services. It's more than makeup, it's a movement. Connect with us and find out how you can contribute to this empowering cause by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com. In return, you will receive free breast health education, permanent makeup trainings, and much more. The Baddie Beauty Collective is brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon. If you're a breast cancer survivor looking to boost your confidence and add a bit of swag to your new normal, this is your invitation to explore free and discounted permanent makeup services by artists trained in the specifics and nuances of skin for women of color. From eyebrows to 3D areola and scar transformation, join us and let your journey of empowerment begin. Check out the Baddie Beauty Collective, brought to you by For the Breast of Us, Artistry by Zuri, and PM Yukon by visiting baddiebeautycollective.com.
Welcome to Baddie to Baddie, a monthly podcast by For the Breast of Us, the first breast cancer community for all women of color, where we share real-life experiences, information, and education to help you live your best life after a breast cancer diagnosis. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie. Welcome to Baddie to Baddie.
Hey Baddies, it is your OG, triple OG, plus size Baddie, April, joining you today for our Baddie to Baddie section. We're happy to have you with us today. And we have a special guest with us, another wonderful scholarship recipient of the In Purpose, On Purpose Memorial Scholarship. So today we bring to the stage Miss Rhonda Holmes. Hey Rhonda, how are you?
Hi April, I am great. Thank you for having me.
Great. Congratulations to you for being one of our first recipients of the scholarship. This is very exciting.
Thank you. I'm so honored. I was so honored to be selected.
Right. Well, we're happy to have you here. I don't know how your day is going, Rhonda, but mine is, I'm a little bit frustrated. Little frustrated because I got some things going on, and this is not about me, but this is kind of a segue to our conversation. And I was I got some things on my mind, and when I usually wake up with things on my mind, I try to listen to a sermon. And backstage we were talking about our religious beliefs and things of that nature. And one of the messages in the sermon I was listening to this morning was from Pastor Mike Jr. The title of the sermon is We're Inside. And in his message, he said, you will discover your purpose where you are aggravated the most. Mm-hmm. And I'm aggravated. So just kind of sharing, having a transparent moment about that with you. And of course, those who are watching and listening, that, sometimes our days doesn't start off the way that we would like. But but I thought that was powerful, that sometimes the things that aggravates us the most could also be a blessing. So just kind of wondering, has that been the case for you, Miss Rhonda?
Um, of course, I've had, some frustrating days. Just considering my journey at one point, um, getting breast cancer one time is, to me, is traumatic enough. Here I am sitting four times, but I could remember the third time I was a little bit angry and
Hmm.
frustrated because I couldn't understand why I had to walk through it so many times. Like if one time wasn't enough. And that was a real moment for me and God. Like, God, what is up with this? You know,
Okay.
why do I have to walk through this so many times? And
Hmm.
I went through an anger period.
Okay. Well, tell you. So this is your fourth time
Yes.
walking with a diagnosis of breast cancer. Do you mind sharing with us about your initial diagnosis?
Yeah, so my first diagnosis was in back in 2004, and I was just getting ready for bed, and my hand had happened to brush over my breast while I was taking off my top, and I just felt a hard space that was strange and weird,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't know anything about mammograms or nothing, but I just was prompted to just go to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, they looked concerned. And although I was not at the age to do a mammogram, they decided to do a mammogram. I was only 36 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did the mammogram. It didn't look well. They did a sonogram. And then I just went through the whole thing of the biopsy and everything. And it turned out it was stage 0. So at the time, they did a lumpectomy. Got clear margins. I didn't do chemo or radiations. I've never done chemo or radiation in my entire 20 years of having breast cancer.
Wow.
So um, I thought I was good.
And
That
the
was
wow
the
is for the 20 years. It's not for the treatment. It's the wow for the 20 years overcomer. Congratulations for 20 years.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was good. That was the end of it. This was all new to me. Nobody in the family had it. I couldn't relate to anybody. So it was kind of a lonely walk. And then 6 years later, it came back. It
Mm.
came back at stage 0 again, which amazed the doctors. They even had like a round table. They was like, generally, when it comes back with a vengeance. We never really seen it come back at stage 0 again.
Mm-hmm.
But I just say it was God,
Mm-hmm.
just watching over me. And even through that, um, I think at the time I had lost my job, so I didn't have medical insurance. And um, I could do a mammogram, but I couldn't do the bigger tests like biopsies and scans and stuff. Those are really expensive out of pocket. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to wait. And it was almost a year before I could go and get those tests done. And when I finally went back to the doctor to get the test, the looks on the doctor's face when they saw the time frame, they just knew that I was done. There's no way she's going to survive if she waited a whole year. And when they did that, I was at stage 0 still again.
My God.
They were so shocked. Even the doctor told me that the cancer was just sitting. He said the best way I could describe it is that it was just sitting in the gate. It didn't move. It just was sitting there. It was like God's hand was on it and holding it in place until I could get to I get almost emotional about it even today
Absolutely.
because I know God's hand was on me.
Mm-hmm.
So went through that. I had a mastectomy, did the reconstructive surgery and all that. Once again, I didn't have no radiation or chemo. And again, I thought this was it. 10 years later, it was back. Now, this time it came back stage 4 metastatic. It had spread to my lungs. And I had the doctor, my oncologist at the time, she told me, she said, well, there's not much we can do, but we can make you comfortable. And I looked at her like she was crazy, as if I was going to die tomorrow. And I was like, that's not my story. So I'm going to get a second opinion. She acted as if they were going to put me in hospice the next day. But I went all the way to Atlanta to the Cancer Treatment Center to get I did my research. One thing about this journey, you have to be your own advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't let the doctors dictate to me what my story is going to be or what my treatment or whatever it's going to be. I did my research and looked for an alternative to chemo because I didn't think I would survive chemo because I have a low tolerance for any type of medication. And they put me on a regimen of pills. In 8 months, the cancer was gone.
Wow.
The doctor told me in all his years of practicing in cancer, he might have saw one patient who responded to the medication that way in that short of time frame. He had never really seen it in all his years of practice.
Wow.
Because when I was prescribed my medication, I prayed over my medicine. You know, I'm just a woman of faith, and I believe God, and I believe His word.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed over my medication. I had my circle of prayer warriors, and we prayed, and I asked God to allow the medication to target only the cancer cells and to do what it needed to do.
Mm.
It was supposed to like take out my hair or have all these side effects. My hair was growing. I know people, I cannot make this up. My hair was growing. It never came out. And I didn't have any of those side effects. The medicine targeted the cancer cells and killed them in 8 months.
Wow. And do you remember the medication you were taking at the time?
Yeah, the first one, first it was Residio and Letrozole. I was on like targeted therapy and hormonal therapy.
Okay.
So that January of 2021 is when I started in August of 2020. In January of 2021, my skin showed no signs of the disease. Wow. And then maybe that November, I took myself off of the pills. The doctor didn't tell me to stop them, but I took myself off of them. And I was fine until 2 years later, November of last year, my scan showed some signs of the disease coming back. And they put me on another regimen, which now I'm on Ibrance pills, and I get Faslodex injections once a month for hormonal, because my cancer is estrogen driven.
Okay.
So that's what I'm on now, and I'm responding well. My tumor markers are plummeting. because once again, I'm praying over my medication, and I have my prayer warriors praying. And I believe God that I have
Absolutely.
purpose. I'm convinced that I have purpose.
Wow. So you are a living example of you will discover your purpose where you are aggravated the
Yes.
most. Wow. That
Because,
is an amazing story. That's an
yes.
amazing story. I too am a patient of CTCA, or City of Hope now.
City, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can also
Was
share.
it was it the Atlanta location?
Yep. hmm
Okay. That
Yeah.
is like the Disney of cancer treatment.
hmm
The best
It is.
experience ever.
It is. It is. Like you, um, I feel that my life I would not have life if I did not go there.
Yeah. I don't think I would
So,
still be here if I didn't.
hmm
Yeah.
so I'm grateful that we are here thriving
Yes.
and doing the work of the Lord.
Yes. Because now
So,
I'm a mentor to newly diagnosed, survivors.
okay. Through the hospital or through another
Through
organization.
another organization that I volunteer at, Carolina Breast Friends. I volunteer
Yeah.
there regularly. And now I am a mentor with them.
Wonderful. Okay. I know several ladies who also volunteer with that organization, since
Okay.
you were in Charlotte and I'm in
Yeah.
Columbia, that's right across, that's not even an hour
Yeah.
away.
Right.
Yeah. So, how did you find For the Breast of Us?
I believe it was through um, Living Beyond Breast Cancer.
hmm
They had like a list of resources. They got this like really long list of different resources. And I believe you all are on that list,
hmm
that I was just reaching out to different organizations at the time. And that's how I found out about it. And I kind of, you go online to social media and look them up and start following them. And that's how I found
Okay.
out about it.
Okay. And with your journey starting, I believe you said in 2004,
Yes.
I was diagnosed in 2016 and had a difficult time finding women who looked like me who were willing to share their stories to help
Mhm.
me. I can only imagine what it was like for you in 2004, probably non existent.
Nobody. I didn't know about no support group. I didn't know about anything, nothing. I
Mm,
just like had my family, which they couldn't relate to me. They could be there for me, but it's nothing like being with people that can relate to what you're going through. That's
absolutely.
why I find support groups and stuff are very important, because you can be with other women that can relate to your journey, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we talked about your diagnosis. We talked about your amazing testimony and how you found For the Breast of Us, as well as your advocacy with being for others who you probably would have wished you had for yourself back in
Yes.
2004. Tell us a little bit more about Miss Rhonda. What do you like to do? Well, outside of, sometimes a cancer diagnosis
Yeah.
can can consume your life, but it's definitely not your life. And I know you're a woman of faith. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about you. What are some things you enjoy doing in the Queen City of Charlotte?
Well, I one thing that I get joy out of is serving other people. I really get a joy. Um, I'm a leader in my church, of
Mm-hmm.
course, and we do a lot of outreach, mission type things. And even like when I'm volunteering and I'm helping women in the community or whatever, I get a joy out of that. That's just, I feel like that's one of my life's passions is to serve people. I have this unusual, amazingly passion for homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
I've done things like feed the homeless, clothe the homeless, that type of thing. I just have this thing for the downtrodden, rejected, looked over people. I just have a passion for those type of helping people. But as far as activity, I do a lot as far as different events. Like just recently, I went on a spa trip
Mm.
that an organization did for survivors up near Raleigh.
Okay.
Like a 3-day spa retreat where we had massages, sat by the pool, had dinners, lunches. It was just a beautiful, I love doing things like that, getting away and self care. I love going to get my pedicures. I enjoy going to see live plays, just fellowship with people um, that have my best interests at heart. Um,
Absolutely.
because I have found in a majority of my life, I've had people in my life that didn't have my best interests at heart. I was always the one giving, and people always taking from you, but when you need them, they're not there. So I just thank God that He's putting a circle around me of people that really love me, like for real, real love,
Mm-hmm.
and not those that have, ulterior motives, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just enjoy spending time with those type of people. And I'm part of a lot of support groups. I join a lot of support groups and, try to encourage other women as well as be encouraged, you know. So, yeah, I love nice dinners, boat rides, that sort of thing. I'm a homebody by nature, though. I love,
Okay.
I love home. It's my haven. But when it's time when I want to go out and do what I want to do, you know, that's what I do. And I could say that my journey hasn't always been peaches and cream. There was also a downside where I got really depressed. It looked like every time the cancer came, depression came with it,
Mm-hmm.
except this last time. And I had to seek therapy to try to overcome that, you know, because I went from anger to sadness to deep sadness and just couldn't understand why I had to go through this, why I had to walk through this journey. And it caused a really deep depression that I went into. And I had even gotten to a point where I didn't want to live at one point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I just had this thing like, God, just, let me go to sleep and just come get me. That's, if I was to keep it real. And I could remember a friend inviting me to a church that I once attended. They were having like a revival service. And I was so depressed, I didn't really want to go nowhere. And I decided to go. And they had a guest speaker. And I just said, I'm going, but I'm sitting in the back. And as soon as it's over, I'm leaving. And after the speaker was done, he pointed to the back, right where I was sitting, and he said, I sensed the spirit of suicide back here.
Mm.
And he said, if you're not afraid, he said, it's actually two of you ladies in here. He said, if you're not afraid, if you're not ashamed, if you can come up here and allow me to pray with you. I was like, oh my God, God, no, you didn't do this to me.
Yes, we is.
I was like, no, you didn't do this to me. So I just got up. I was like, because, first thing in your mind, like, what is everybody going to think? Oh my God, I know a lot of people in here. I just got up and walked to the front. And he said, do you mind if I pray with you? And he put the mic down and he spoke in my ear. And he said, you cannot kill yourself because there are so many people that are counting on you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I almost hit the floor. I was like, and from that moment, it just looked like it broke and my mindset changed. And it was like, you know what? Okay, I'm getting ready to fight. First thing was like, people are counting on me. I need somebody. But my mindset changed at the time. I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to fight. And from that moment on, I fought. And it was like, I conquered. And
absolutely,
to this day, I'm determined to fight because
and you continue to talk.
This is not just about me. I have to give other women hope. There's so many women have told me, you just don't know how you've given me hope just hearing your story,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So thank you. It's not about us. And, we come from a culture of pain, and we come from a culture of mistreatment. So, with women of color, we don't tell our stories because of the scrutiny that
shame,
our ancestors have experienced because of it. So to stand up and to not only walk, but to share your truth, how it is so empowering to those who are watching or who are listening. It's amazing. It's a testament also of God's grace.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that you were diagnosed twice at zero twice, and that you said that it was like God's hand was just over that spot, not causing it to grow or spread. That is so profound.
And for the doctor to tell me, the best way I can describe this is it was just sitting there in the gate, just sitting there, just like, oh God, I thank you. He said, until you're able to get this test, I'm just going to keep my hand on it. It's not going to go nowhere. It could have spread to everywhere in a year's time. Because when I went
year's time, you could have been gone.
Yes, because in a year's time, when I walked in that doctor's, when the doctor has the look of concern on their face, then you need to be concerned. The look of fear in their faces before they even did the test, they looked at the time frame from when I left and when I came back.
Supernatural.
Nobody cannot tell me that God doesn't perform miracles and that he doesn't heal. Nobody can tell me. Nobody.
He does it every day. And you and I are examples.
Yes.
Of the miracles that he performs every day, as well as many other women in our community. I mean, there's
Yes.
so many stories of hope and faith and love.
Yes.
So, Miss Rhonda, I mean, so many things that we talked about aligns with the message that I was listening to this morning. And one of the things that he said was that aggravation equals activation, and that for you were aggravated in round 3.
Yes.
You were aggravated, you were depleted, but that moment in that revival activated you to the next level. God, come on.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So good. It's just, we can get so caught up sometimes in the things that are happening around us, our own feelings and emotions. Last night we had the presidential debate, and I just remember just sitting, just reflecting on how I felt when 45 was running for that seat. It just brought it all back. And I couldn't sleep last night. I was tossing and turning. And it's because I had lost sight of that's not the focus. That's going to be what it's going to be.
God
but
is
God is still who God is. He's still permanent, and that's who we're supposed to keep our eyes fixed on.
As long as he's on that throne, we have nothing to fear or worry about. If he ever comes down off that throne, then we need to be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as God is on the throne, he got all power in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that happens, he allows it.
Absolutely. He does allow it. He does allow it. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about us. You have to grow through adversity.
Yeah.
So the question that I would like to ask you too, Rhonda, is that we do have some baddies in our community who are not of the same faith as ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to make sure that we respect the spiritual and religious beliefs of all.
Yes.
So have you had an encounter with someone who is not of the same faith? And what is your message to them in this walk that you have lived with your 4 knockouts, I would like to say, with breast cancer?
Well, in my case, I don't force anything on anyone. Mm-hmm. I don't judge. I don't force. What I do and what I find that works is I share my story, because I can think of one particular survivor, thriver. She's actually in part of our metastatic group, because we're both metastatic. And I can remember her being newly diagnosed. I met her at the Pink House. And I just shared my story about taking my medication. I prayed over my medication and I believed God. I just shared the story. I didn't try to make her. And just by sharing that story, when she was going through her treatment, she shared with me. She said, Rhonda, I started praying over and this is she's an Asian. She said, I prayed over my medication like you said you did, and I didn't have any ill effects. Wow. It was like what I shared with her, she put it into practice and it worked for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just need to share your story. Don't try to put your beliefs on somebody. Just share what you did sometimes, and it inspires. And to this day, she prays over her treatment, over her, and she is so amazed how it works. Mm-hmm. She even came to I went through ordination service at my church back in March, and she came and brought a friend, and she enjoyed the service, everything. I mean, sometimes we just need to share, just share what God did for you, because it says, God says, we overcame by the word of our testimony. So just share your testimony sometimes. Don't try to convert or try to, just share what God did for you. Absolutely. And it'll inspire somebody.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And just your living, just being a living testimony can help people. Like, oh my God, really? That worked for you? Because people will be like, you here 20 years? Like 20 years? Yeah, I am. Because of God. I always give God the glory. You're not going to not, make me say that, yeah, God did this. I'm going to say God did it. I won't force it on you, but I'm going to let you know God did this.
That's who did it.
God did it. You're going to know that much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Miss Rhonda, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing your powerful testimony. I always like to close out with a fun question, and I'm looking at your background of the beach. And I heard that you enjoy, good meals and you enjoy traveling. So my question is, if you had to pick one over the other, would you pick the beach or would you pick the mountains?
The beach, definitely. Because the water is therapeutic for me. To just sit by the water, it's very therapeutic.
I bet you have a lot of conversations by the water.
Yes, lakes, pools, beach. It's just so therapeutic and it's so relaxing and so, yeah. So that background, that's where I would love to be right now.
I'm sure you'll be making that happen pretty soon too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, once again, congratulations on being one of our first scholarship recipients. And now that you are a scholarship recipient, you are officially a part of our Baddie tribe. So welcome, Baddie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we encourage you to continue to follow us on social media as well as our website. Absolutely. And encourage other ladies, especially your Asian friend, and her friends to come and join us, because we are a platform for women of color, not just Black women, Black, Asian, Indian, Latinas. Yes. So we would love to welcome other ladies of color to join us. So
I'm happy to be called a baddie. It's just, I love that term.
You are definitely a baddie. Absolutely. So again, thank you everyone for joining us for another Baddie to Baddie episode, and we will see you again soon.
This is another Baddie creation brought to you by For the Breast of Us. Don't forget to subscribe to Baddie wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at For the Breast of Us, on Twitter at The Breast of Us, and check us out online at breastofus.com. Thanks for listening.